All right. Top of the morning, top of the evening, top of the night, whatever time zone you are on, we are live. Hello, everybody. Let me adjust this really quick. I don't 100% like the position of my lighting in the background, but let's remember this. I'm a minute late. Okay, I said 10:15, but let's remember this. If we can look up, we can get up. If we can get up, we can go up. With that being said, let me take care of this in the background. Let me position us. All right. So let's remember this. Our moment of silence for all those who have lost their lives. As it is vital because tragedies are occurring every single day. And in the United States of America, it is extremely unfortunate. But let's remember this as a people, as long as we have breath in our body, if we can look up, we can get up. And if we can get up, we can go up. With that being said, let's go ahead and let's get started. In accordance to the Copyright Act of the United States of America, sections 106, 106A, 107, and the others. Fair use. I have the right to use the video, images, pictures, recordings, live streamings, and the like, paintings, ECT, as this information is now a matter of public records. In accordance to the United States Copyright Act. Okay, according to the Copyright Act of the United States of America. Now, with that being said, let's get into some music and let's get off into this. Hopefully everybody's, again, doing the best that they can in the situation that they're in. We are going to do it the way we do it. And we're going to take a look at some real digital forensics tonight. We're going to ask some digital forensic questions tonight, right? Right? People talk about it, but we're going to be about it. Let's go. Let's get started. Come on, Black Violin. Let's go. Let's go. That's all right. Get in the zone. Let's go. Y'all ready? They say get ready. Y'all ready? Y'all ready to work?
Get ready!
All right, let's go. Let's get off into this. They said get ready. Y'all ready to work? We ready to look at some okay. I'm just gonna take this right here. Let's see that. Bring my window up really quick. Let me blow this up. Wait a minute, let me take this back. Okay. Maximize that. Okay, I'm gonna do the share on this. This is the way we're gonna start off tonight. Let's start off doing some work. Can we do some forensics tonight? Can we do some real forensics tonight? Let's get off into this. Let me hit the refresh on this really quick. Because what I noticed is YouTube, the amount of people I have viewing my chat is never the amount of people that's posted on here. And I don't know if y'all have a something against one of your competitors, which is Zoom, but we shall see. Anyway, let's get off into this. Okay, the Christina case. So many of us have seen the information that the police department presented, the police chief from the department presented in Alabama. So the way I want to start off doing this tonight is this. And this is for educational purposes. Right here, new discoveries. So let's go. What we're going to do is, let's do this. I'll control that in there. Let's see what we get. Not operable command. Okay, I see what's happening here. First of all, let me take my caps off. And let me do it this way. When I do it this way, let's do it this way. Let me put my command in, put my command prompt in, right? Oh, wow, really? Could not find host? Okay. We do it this way. Let's go. Let's just do it like this. Well, look at that. Finally putting the right command prompt in and trying it a different way. Let's see if the Huntsville Police Department for educational purposes will communicate with us, okay? And guess what? When I put the correct command prompt in, well, look what happened. So let's pay attention to what I did first. I had my caps locked on. Okay, command prompts are very specific commands. And you have to be extremely specific when you're utilizing these forensic tools. So my forensic tool of choice right now is my command prompt window. And just seeing simply for educational purposes, if the Huntsville Police Department website or government website would communicate back with us, see if the networks would communicate. See if let me be real specific to see if networks would communicate with us, if we can communicate back with the network. All right. So, but what's important here is the number of packets that were sent and received. So that's what's vital here. Okay. So I'm not so much as interested in the milliseconds tonight. I'm interested in the amount of packets that were sent and received. All right. So I have it highlighted in white. 4 packets were sent, 4 packets of data were sent across the network, and we're doing this in real time. 4 packets were received, 0 packets were lost. So let's remember that because we're going somewhere. So I always have to lay a foundation, right? 4 packets were sent, 4 packets were received. What's transmitted across the network at all times? Data, packets of data. What's transmitted across the network at all times? Data, packets of data. 4 packets were sent, 4 packets were received, 0 packets were lost. And we did that in real time. Okay, so minimize that window. Now, that we had the foundation for that. Let me bring this up. And again, everybody, the good thing about this is that if you're not watching this in real time, and sometimes people want to ask questions and different things like that, you can always leave your question below in the comment section and I'll respond to it. And if you are watching this in real time, you get to ask questions in real time. If you're not watching this in real time, you can always leave a comment and you can always pull it back for greater understanding. So let me do the screen share on this. And we know I love what? So here we go, my visuals. All right, no nonsense news. Again, parental consent, viewers' discretion is advised. Graphic content may be graphic or may not be. Viewers' discretion is always advised. This is not a channel for minors, even though it is educational. All right, so Christina, footage and digital forensics. Let's remember this, math is always solvable and science is always provable. Everything leaves a digital fingerprint, but before we go back and revisit and recap on the police chief testimony, and the more I listen, the more from a digital forensics perspective, I'm like, no-go areas for me. So let's go here. And okay, I'm gonna jump around tonight in what I have presented in my presentations. Okay, we're gonna go back, we're gonna go up some slides, and we're gonna go back. We refer back to the video footage. We're gonna move around, but right here, recap. So remember, packets of data are transmitted across the network. Now that's what I just showed before we came here, when I had my command prompt window up. And what we did was we wanted to see if the network would communicate with us from Alabama, right? 4 packets were sent, 4 packets of data were received, 0 packets were lost. So what's traveling across the network at all time? What's being transmitted across the network at all time? Data. What's traveling across the internet at all time? Data. What's in the mediums at all time? And the medium means cabling, okay? Whatever type of cabling device is being used via the access points for what? For us to access data, for us to utilize the internet, right? For that information to become accessible to us. Data is transmitted at all times. If you have your access point connected to a power source, data is being transmitted across there at all times. whether you're utilizing it or not. You can stop surfing the web, the internet, streaming or doing whatever. What's always inside of there? Data is always inside of there, period. That is always inside of your medium that you use to access the internet, unless it's disconnected to a power source. The data remains. What's transmitted across the network at all times? Data. So when I am talking about a forensic perspective, and when we're talking about a forensic perspective over here, we know that when the police came out and he said raw data, well, our ears would perk up, and we're going to get there. Remember, we're recapping. We got to lay the foundation and walk it up so people can understand. So, as mentioned previously, before, what did we start off doing? Seeing if the network would communicate with us. Why? For educational purposes, not only for educational purposes. Hey, how you doing? Letha, how you doing? You still at work? Oh, wow. I see you, Letha. Remember, we started off doing, like I said, communicating using our command prompt window, seeing if, as our forensic tool of choice tonight, seeing if Alabama's police department would communicate, if their network would communicate with us, okay? Seeing if the website was, good, seeing if we can get some type of communication. 4 packets were sent, 4 packets were received. Now, again, remember, packets of data are sent at all times across the network, across the internet, an interconnection of networks, right? The internet, interconnection of networks. All right, so I'm going to jump down to number 3, and then I'm going to go back to number 2. So number 1, remember, packets of data are transmitted across networks. And so what I have is colorful little squares representing packets of data. Remember, we have a header when packets are sent across the network, and we have a footer. We have a starting point, we have an ending point, okay? All right, so let me jump down to 3. There's a header packet, the body of the packets, and the footer of the packet. Now let me go back to 2, because the police department presented footage from surveillance cameras, correct? True or false, yes or no? We're going to have to go with true, and we're going to have to say yes. Okay, cameras on the represents a node on networks. So when you have an interconnection of networks, or when you have a network and you have peripherals like cameras and printers, as well as other devices connected to a network, like computers, such as computers, they represent nodes on a network, what we call a node on a network, right? Okay, so some questions to think about tonight as we are taking a digital forensic look at the data that was presented by the police department that people wanted to run with and say, oh, I saw what I saw her get into a van, I saw this, I saw that. Does the footage tell a complete story? Some questions I want you to ask yourself tonight. Did the video footage that was presented to you, that ESI, electronically stored information / data, right? When it was presented to you, did the footage tell a complete story? Did it tell you a complete story? Was the story complete? Hey, Fire Mama, how you doing? Did it tell you a complete story? And I got, can you tell it? Tell it French joke. I got an extra T right there. Let me fix this. On number 4, I have an extra T after you, and I'm going to go ahead and fix that now. Apologies, everyone. I guess I called myself, no, I didn't proofread. I'm not even getting ready to sit here and tell that story, because clearly if I proofread, this. All right. There would be no need for me to fix this. All right. So there it is. Now I have fixed that in the back, taken out the extra T. Now I will put it back in present mode, and we can go back to my little examples on the presentation. Here it is. So let me share that again. Apologies, everyone, and thank you for your patience. Again, so what did I say? We need to keep in mind that in our recap, packets of data are transmitted across networks, internet at all times, okay? Police department, city of Alabama have local area networks, metropolis area networks connected to a wide area network known as the internet. Wide area networks transcends regions, cities, states. Okay. So again, let's go back to the cameras. Let's go back to the video footage. Let's go back to the ESI, electronically stored information, that was being sent across the network the day that they claimed the events occurred. All right. Does the video footage tell a complete story? This is one of the things you need to ask yourself about the footage that the police chief presented in regards to Christina. Okay. We said digital forensics. So we're going to take a digital forensics look. All right. Can you tell if frames were dropped? And I got 4, the video footage, and it should be from. Again, let me clean this up. And this is my last time I'm going to clean something up off this presentation in my endeavors to type so quickly, because I don't want people to be confused about this. And I got 4, and it should be from. Which lets me know that I had the sentence a different way earlier. I had the sentence written out completely different earlier. I changed something around due to me being sloppy. I don't like to really be sloppy. Well, I was being a little sloppy today in terms of that, but I'm cleaning it up right now in real time. So let's go back to the slide again. Now, for clarity's sake, because I need this to be clear. Number 4. Thank you, Fire Mama. You've been on fire lately with your answering other questions. Can you tell if the frames were dropped from the video footage that the police came out and showed and said was raw data? This was raw. This is raw footage. This was raw. He specifically mentioned the word raw. But over here, we'll recap and we'll refresh what raw means from a digital forensic perspective. See, people just take things like they're the gospel truth and they don't ask questions about it. And again, it's a reason this field was created. Okay. And then my little side note for tonight is, as it pertains to Robert Sylvester Kelly case in 2018, I'm going to let you hear what one of the attorneys who litigated for him on that case said about digital forensics, or ESI, or electronically stored information. We know everything leaves a digital fingerprint. That's my side note. When you speak that language, I understand. I can communicate back with you, right? Many of us, we know how to communicate in that language, right? Now, let's go back. Remember, let me ask the question again. When you saw the video footage that the police chief presented, as it pertained to Christina, did it tell a complete story? Can you tell if frames were dropped from the video footage, just at first glance, or by looking at it with the naked eye, with your natural eye? Does the footage represent the events as they occurred in real time? Does the video footage represent the event as they occurred in real time? Can we tell that or not? Just looking at it with the naked eye. Yes or no? We're talking about digital forensics as it pertains to the video footage that the police chief showed concerning Christina that was found in a van in a police department's parking lot within a police van. They came out and showed footage. Did it tell a complete story? We're talking about digital forensics tonight. See, science, this field is a science. Science is provable. Math is solvable. This field is both. It's science and it's math. You can always solve for math. There's not a single math problem that you cannot solve for. That's why math is considered a concrete, absolute field. That's why math is considered an absolute subject, an absolute field. Something that's not abstract. It's considered solid. You can always solve for math. So let's ask the question again. Does the footage that you've seen presented by the police department tell a complete story? Can you tell me if frames were dropped from the video footage that you saw that the police department presented, that the police chief said this is raw data? Can you tell me that? Can you tell me if the video that he showed represented the video footage being shown in real time? What I can tell you is that the time stamps were 12 hours off. That's what he said when he came out there and said what he said. Did he not? Yes, he did. Okay, now let's stop this and we'll go back to the presentation later because I'm gonna let you hear what he said again. And so we're laying a foundation. Remember, I asked you, I'm asking a question. Is this electronically stored information that was presented to us, this data presented to us as evidence or some type of proof? Is it telling us a real story? Is it telling us a complete story? Were packets of data dropped along the way or frames dropped along the way? At the beginning, I showed an example of us communicating with Alabama Police Department, the website. 4 packets were sent, 4 packets were received. So we can say no packets of data were dropped while we communicated with the network in that website. 4 were sent, 4 were received. Right? When I brought my command prompt window up, right? And we did our ping for educational purposes to see if the network would communicate with us. For educational purposes only, to see if the networks would communicate with us. All right. So here we go. Let's go here. Let me blow this up. And, okay, no, let me escape first and then blow it up. So let me share the source of information, all right? Before I blow it up, then I'll blow it up so we all can see it. All right. All right. All right. So let me give it a minute. Flip this and look in the chat. Good. Okay. I just missed that. All right. So Right. I'm refreshing my electronic device in the back so I can be in real time. Okay. All right. So here we go. Huntsville, Huntsville.gov, Huntsville Police Department provides update. And this is Huntsville, okay? The stats of Alabama. So this is the website that we pinged earlier for educational purposes to see if it would communicate with us. And at the onset of it, I wrote, I put in some command prompts that were completely bogus, and the network didn't communicate with us because we have to pay attention to details when we're talking about digital forensics. All right. So you'll see those examples at the beginning. I'm like, okay, I got my caps on, took my caps off. Okay, another command prompt. Okay, that's not it. Kept getting error messages back and said, okay, so let me try this. Then bingo, there it was. All right, so we're gonna look at this video footage, and this comes directly from their website, okay? So I'm gonna stroll down. I'm showing you the website. I'm going to stroll down, and HPD update on Christina Nance investigation. Okay, we're not going to see that one yet because that's in the presentation. I'm not going to show it from here. I'm going to show it from the presentation that he did at the news. Okay. What we're going to do, however, is we are going to watch this footage. And it's interesting to note that in the second video that's on this website, police department or Huntsville Police Department website or the government website, Christina Nance investigation security footage. Now, I want to say this, and I'm not attempting to be facetious. As they're showing this video footage, because I need to set the framework for this, right? As they're going to show this video footage, I doubt very seriously if it was a camera labeled Christina Nance investigation security footage. Do you think the state of Alabama or the city of Alabama, the city that this was in, would have a camera, a node on the network labeled Christina Nance investigation security footage? We see that's the title that you're going to see in the footage, right? We know that when we're looking at video footage, what do we want from all footage? We want the extraction, right? We want the metadata. We want the information about information, right? We want the information about information so we can see where the digital fingerprints lead. We want the information about information so we can see what time the incident really occurred. We also want to see if there's any modification, any alterations. So, having said that, and I'm not attempting to be facetious to the police department in Alabama, I'm just saying. All right. So, because we're talking about a digital forensic perspective and look at this video footage that you all came out and presented. I'm going to go back on this. Now, let me go full screen on this. Let me hit play. Take this back. Oh, wait a minute. Let me stop this and let me refresh. Okay. So I'm refreshing that page. So we can start this over. It's taking a minute to refresh. There they go. They're reloaded. Yes, the metadata. We want the metadata. Okay. And again, let me say it again. The only two that I used tonight, forensic two that I used tonight, was my command prompt window. That's it. Let me be very clear about this. Until the police uploads this in file formats or put this in the cloud for us to access this, like they did in the Kanika Jenkins case and like in so many other cases, that when suspicious deaths like this occur, and we can go and download it directly and then do extractions that way, I'm probably not going to for this. I'm not going to present it like this because I know I'm going to have from this website all of the web data in here. Okay, the website's data in here. That's not what I want. I just want the metadata strictly coming from the video surveillance footage. Okay, that's what I want. So again, keep that in mind too. This was not uploaded in file formats that's downloadable, so we can go and use some type of forensic tool to take a closer look at what is presented here. Now, let me do the share on this. And then I'll reposition my body. Now that I've refreshed the page, here it is. Now, let me hit play and pull this up. So here we go. Now, reposition the body. Adjust this. All right. So again, this is directly from the website at Alabama government/police department website. So we're watching video footage that also was presented. This is additional video footage, that surveillance footage that was presented to us, okay? Now, questions to ask while we're watching this. And we're only a few minutes in. Can we conclude that from this footage that we are getting a complete story? Can we tell from this footage if any frames dropped, if any frames were dropped? We didn't see a chain of custody. Authentication, 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 data integrity, data integrity, data integrity. Can we tell any of that from this video footage? Or are we just watching something? We're talking about digital forensics, right? Authentication is vital. Data integrity is vital. And I will ask the question again to all of the people who think that this footage is just 100% okay. Can you tell me whether or not any frames from this video footage were dropped? Can you tell me whether or not any frames from the video footage were dropped? And if you say you can, I'm gonna need you to prove it. I want bit by bit copies with hash values that match from the original hard drives that captured the data the day the incident occurred, the day all of these incidents occurred, from all the hard drives, all of them. If they have a server, a physical server, I want the data authenticated from the original server. Okay, database servers. That's right. Cameras. We don't know if they were bidirectional cameras, send information, receive information. It could be mono, receive only. And then what is the data being backed up to? Is it going directly to the cloud to be stored, or is it going to a network device, an additional network hardware device to be stored? Because if it goes directly to an additional network, an additional hardware device to be stored in, would then that network device that would store that data has a hard drive in it as well. We want the data from there. All the electronic devices that were involved in capturing this data, we want bit by bit copies of original hard drives with hash values that match. Yeah. And the volatile state, unless it goes to a cloud. And if it goes to a cloud, we'll take it from there. Authenticate it and go from there. Here it is. It looks like this is how many minutes are we into this? This video I'm showing you is 9 minutes and 2 seconds long. We are approximately 4 minutes and 40 seconds into this video footage. Again, I will state, I'm not going to run this video footage through a forensic tool and extract metadata from this, like I did in the Kanika Jenkins case, and I've already explained why. Now, when they upload the footage in a downloadable manner, and they stand by the integrity of the data that they present, I will take it from there. This is just on their website. Now, what I will do is use forensic tools to zoom in on my time. And when I'm using that forensic tool, quite naturally, I'm going to flip the video in all different directions, north, east, south, west. I'm going to flip the video footage upside down. I'm going to flip it to the side. I'm going to flip it to the other side. And then I'm going to reposition it and flip it back up. So north, east, south, west. I'm going to view it south, north, south, east, west, north, south, west, north, east, all different directions, because we're talking about digital forensics. And when you want a perspective on footage, you view it from every angle and every aspect. And as I do that, I'm also going to turn the hue or the saturation up or down. To enhance it within the scope in which it could be enhanced without compromising the integrity of the data. Okay, Fire Mama, you said where she's walking from. Okay. She walked in this video footage, a person walked from the tree area from this footage. They walked from the areas in which a set of trees are placed in the video footage. That's what I saw in this footage when I looked at it. And I'll say it again. For me, I haven't yet to see any video footage that paints a complete story or tells a complete story. Not only that, I have yet to see any video footage that's been authenticated with a chain of custody presented to prove such. And so there it is. It's done. But in this footage, and I blew it up, and when you play it back at home, you're going to see her walking. You're going to see her walking from the grass. No, no highlights of that video footage tonight. I'm not highlighting anything from that video footage. Like I said, I will view that from all different perspectives and take that from there. But I just wanted to blow that up for everyone to see, right? Directly from their website, okay? Now, did that video footage paint a complete picture for you or present a complete story? And from the video footage that we have just watched, can you tell me whether or not any frames were dropped from the video footage? Because it was some sections in there, looking at it from the human's eye and my naked eye. To me, I can tell you some areas that it seemed like some frames were dropped. However, what can I prove? I need to be able to prove what I'm saying. We're talking about digital forensics. And the way that I prove that is by having such footage authenticated for data integrity purposes. And then I look at the metadata. And then I look at the hex view. And then I'm looking at different perspectives of the footage. And then I can speak concretely without guessing, right? We're talking about digital forensics as it pertains to Christina, right? We're talking about a digital forensics. Look, I'm not talking about that stuff where people get on and they using a software, animated software editor. No, I'm talking about real digital forensics. Things that electronically stored information, ESI, that would be admissible in a court of law. I'm not talking about animating things like it's a cartoon. I'm not talking about that. In the footage that I just saw with my naked eye, it looked like some frames were dropped along the way in certain sections of that footage. But again, what can I prove? And so let's go back to the questions that we asked. Can we tell if frames were dropped from the video footage? Can we tell that? Can we tell the video footage we just saw? Can we tell the day the incident occurred? Can we tell when the incident occurred from that video footage? Can we say from the footage that we just saw that when the police came out and presented that to us, that the events occurred exactly the way that they're relaying this information out to the general public? Can we say that, and can we stand by it? Yes or no, true or false? And of quite naturally, my answers to all of those questions are no, no, and no. See, people need to be careful. You have to be careful. And what you don't know could be and lead to the demise of you or a case, or getting a form of justice for a person, right? We have to keep ourselves educated, right? I said I'm talking about digital forensics. Yeah. I'm not on here to come with all that other goofy stuff that people have presented in the past. I said real digital forensics. So let's remember this. Let me refer back to number 4 and number 5. Can you tell if frames were dropped from the video footage that we just saw? It was 9 minutes, 2 seconds. Can we tell if any frames were dropped? Yes or no? To my human eye, it looked like some were. But can I confirm that? No, I cannot. Does the footage present the events as they occurred in real time? Can I tell that from that video footage? Yes or no? No, I cannot. Does the footage tell a complete story that I just watched? Yes or no? No, it does not. No, it doesn't. Okay, and so what you see here in the future section, Fed Rule 902, Federal Rules of Civil Procedures for self-authenticating documents or evidence. Self-authenticating evidence, right? Self-authenticating evidence are newspapers, magazines, books, things like that. Self-authenticating evidence. Video footage captured inside a surveillance camera, backed up to a cloud or network or database server. Self-authentic should be self-authenticated, right? So federal rules, federal law covers federal rule evidence, federal rule civil procedure rules cover authentication of electronics, digital evidence, of electronics and digital evidence or digital information. Authentication specifically is what it talks about, right? Very in-depth on authentication under Section 13. Again, when we're talking about digital forensics, people who were trained in this field or acquired a degree in this field or acquired degrees in this field or certification in these fields, like I have, we have to know laws for real. We have to know privacy laws. We have to know the laws as it pertains and relates to our field. So again, when the police came out and presented what they presented to me, it was a no-go area. Now, let's go back. I'm going to go to the slide here, and then we're going to walk back. When we are listening to the police chief, where was the chain of custody for the video footage that the police chief presented? I need the documentation for how you handled and collected and stored everything. And what type of warrant did you have? Okay, so now let's work back. And let's listen to the police chief again. And remember, right here, and I'm going to break it up for you. He came out for 26. This video footage was 26 minutes. Now, roughly 26 minutes. Okay, so let's listen to what he's saying again. And I will keep referring back to this because even in news clippings that I have seen from other news stations, does the footage tell a complete story? I have yet to see a complete story of any video footage presented. Not only that, side note, state of Alabama, when it pertains to the body cam footage coming from police, they don't have to present that to the general public. Let me say it again. Police body cam footage does not have to be presented to the general public in the state of Alabama. Alabama, your Supreme Court ruled that the police did not have to show you that. It is up to their discretion. They can show it to you or not. That's why we need to pay attention to the laws that's going on from state to state and watch the way these Supreme Court justices within those states rule, especially when it pertains to ESI, electronically stored information / digital evidence, and how it's handled. I don't believe in anything that should be public information being left to the discretion of police officers. But Alabama, that's what your state did. All right, that was my side note. Second side note from the night. Now, let me circle back around to this video footage. Police Chief Dwayne from Alabama. Let's see what he got to say. Uh-oh. I clicked through all them slides just that quick. Sometimes my hands be moving too fast. Here we go. Nope, this one is 11. Oh, no, this is the wrong
everyone.
one.
And thank you for being here and joining us today.
Hold up.
As sheriff, the safety.
That is the wrong one. Hold up. That's at 125 and now 127 men who were caught in the sex trafficking, alleged sex trafficking scheme. That's not what I want to show. We want to show on the police chief as it relates to Christina. That's the one we want to show. So let me make sure I'm getting the right footage in here. All right. Okay, so here, this is the one we want right here. Make sure that it's all nice and special. All right, so I'm like, wrong one. Okay, apologies again. Here we go. This is the one we want. I'm like, wait a minute. We don't want him. We want the other one. This is the one we want right here. All right. Huntsville Police press conference on Christina Nance investigation. All right. So, Alabama. Here we go. This is the one we want. Pause. Okay, in the background, I can see as I'm looking on his screen and he's doing his introduction. OneDrive, this PC, PC Extra, edited mass, meta, what is that? Wait a minute, let me exit out. Let me pull an X now. Yeah, edited master. Let me blow this up a little bit. Oh, okay. Yeah. So a file has something was edited. Now let's hit the escape on that. And all right. So I'm all up in the screen. So let me do the share on this. We do the share on this. Here we go. He's doing his introduction. I'm all up in the screen like, wait a minute. And this is without a forensic too.
On October 7th.
Here we go.
The officer noticed shoes next to the van and approached, discovering Miss Nance's body inside.
Okay, let me pull this
Windows
back.
on the van
Let me
were-
pull this back. Here we go. I'll start this again.
Because we want to give you a lot of information that's detailed. So the Huntsville Police Department has worked with the family throughout our investigation, and this morning showed them the security video of the events leading up to the discovery of Miss Nance. The Huntsville Police Department's thoughts are with the family during this tragedy. Investigators met with the family Friday morning and showed them the security video of the events leading up to this. The Huntsville Police Department announced Friday, October 15th, information about how Christina Nance entered a parked, unoccupied police van in the rear corner of the parking lot at the Public Safety Complex here at 815 Wheeler Avenue. Miss Nance's body was discovered by an officer who was walking through the parking lot on October 7th. The officer noticed shoes next to the van and approached, discovering Miss Nance's body inside. Windows on the van were observed to be opened, and on this type of van, they popped outward. It wasn't that they were rolled down, they popped out. HPD has spent countless hours reviewing security video to determine the events leading up to Miss Nance being in the parking lot and in that van. Security video from the City of Huntsville cameras attached to the public safety building were the ones that were reviewed the most, the ones that showed where the van was in the parking lot. Miss Nance is observed in the video walking around the parking lot. She lays down in the bushes at some point, and again, we're going to show you the video here in a few minutes, and you'll see the things that I'm describing to you. She sits on the hood of a police car for some time. She approaches other cars.
Now let me pause this for a minute, because the video footage that I showed was 9 minutes and 2 seconds. In that video footage, you can see a person come into a parking lot, walk around, sitting on cars. But it's interesting to note, remember, we're talking about digital forensics over here tonight for real. Not all this hocus pocus can't be admitted into court stuff. We're not talking about that. We're talking about real digital forensics. That video footage did not paint a complete picture or tell a complete story. All right. We know nothing about any video footage being authenticated. We know nothing about the integrity of the data that's being presented in this video footage. Also, we can't tell if any frames were dropped along the way, which will deal with what? Data integrity. All right. Also, we can't tell when the incident occurred. If the events that they are presenting to us happen as they are presenting this to us or relaying or sharing out this information to us, we can't tell that these events occurred in real time as they're being relayed to us, the way that they're being relayed to us. Now, let me break it down and slow it down just a little bit. Did the chain of events happen as the police chief is presenting this footage? We can't tell that. Timestamps, you will hear him say again, are 12 hours off. Usually, when you're dealing with video footage, there's usually always a great probability that timestamps will not be accurate. However, when you present video footage as evidence in court, timestamps are supposed to match the events as they occurred. Therefore, it is your attorney's responsibility for any footage that may be used against you to make sure that they really challenge the authenticity of everything and the data integrity. So if you ever fall, and we're in the era of social media, cell phones, smartphones, tablets, iPads, we're in that area of tech, big tech toys, big tech electronics, watches that capture data, necklaces, and a host of other things that authentication is vital. Chain of custody, authentication. Data integrity, right? So we hear him saying this, but again, we'll watch it again. It's not telling a complete story. And I do have an image of the van that they said is the van that she was allegedly found in. She could have easily popped her hand, stuck her hand out the pop-out windows and opened up the back door, side door, and any other door. But that's my side note. But on that side note, it relates directly to the topic at hand. It's germane, it's relevant. Yeah.
You'll see, and this all happens for about 10 minutes before she enters the van. This all occurs on September 25th at around 12:30 p.m.
You said p.m.?
Correct. In the middle of the day, around lunchtime. Ms. Nance was originally reported missing on October 2nd to us, and at the time, she was believed to have been seen last on September 27th. Right. After security video showed movement in the van earlier on that same date, it was determined that that timeline was incorrect. So that is part of the problem with why this took so long. So we originally were looking through surveillance video that really we had to look at minute for minute to watch to see somebody enter the parking lot and get into that van. So we literally had to watch 2 weeks of surveillance. We worked our way back to the 27th, and then as we reviewed the video at that point, we saw that there was movement in the van. So we realized she was already there, so we had to then start working backward again. Right? So as you can imagine, this, watching video minute for minute, now we're spending a lot of time trying to find what was going on.
Police chief, what you just said makes absolutely no sense, but I'm gonna let you finish.
So, after security video showed that movement again, as I said before, we were able to determine that she did enter the van at that point. So what I'd like to do now is go ahead and show you the surveillance video. We'll take a look at it, and I'm going to I may walk away to kind of point out some things, and I'll try to get back to the camera or to the microphone to discuss different parts of it. So this is the video. Let's make sure that you understand. So this is the video as it looks to us as we review the video. Let me point out real quick. I want to point out real quick where the van is. That is the van that we'll be looking at. And so, as you can see right now, we already pushed play. We're already rolling on the video. And I want to hit stop real quick on this. I want to point out something we want to make sure that everybody knows is that the time stamp on this is exactly 12 hours off. So as you can see, it looks like it says AM. This is actually in the middle of the day. It's PM. So it's the timestamp is off by 12
Fire
hours.
Mama, there's
So
the
this
answer
is
to
just
your
after
question.
lunch on Saturday, the 25th. All right, so we'll roll it again. And I want you to pay close attention to just how difficult it is to see anything in these videos. We'll show you in a few minutes how we can zoom in to some degree, but as you zoom in, you lose, it becomes more pixelated and more difficult to see. If you will watch here in just a few minutes, you'll start to see her come into view as she's walking toward us in the distance on Wheeler Avenue. And I'm going to walk over and point out where you will see her first come up on the video. We want this to play for just a minute so that you can understand, and the public can understand. You can see her there walking, the figure walking along the street. Again, investigators had to sit and watch this video minute for minute for hours to finally find this.
And that's why they should have sent it to
Sure,
a
she's actually
real
gone
digital
behind the car.
forensics lab.
So what I'll do, so we wanted to show you this raw version of the video. What we'll do is we'll go ahead and stop it here, and we're going to show you an where we zoom in, right? Okay, so we'll switch now.
Okay, I might have to go back and look at that because on the side of one of those files, it was saying edited.
And again,
And so I
watch in
gotta
the same
see
area. You'll see her walk toward the camera.
what they highlight when they highlight it.
There we go.
The enhanced version that he's showing, is that what they edited? And remember, when he's
She actually, it appears that she sits behind that patrol car for some time. She, as you can see, she went
person
behind the
is
patrol
sitting.
car and is not
that person-
reemerged. And again, make sure you note that October 7th is the day that we found her. And so we had to work back all the way from October 7th to now we're on
Yes.
September 25th to be able to
sister
find
said the
this
last time she
bit
communicated
of
with her was
video that shows
27th.
in the parking lot and get into the van.
So did she get out of the van
It's on our
at any
building.
point since y'all saying the
It's
25th?
maintained and serviced by the City of Huntsville
Okay.
General Services. So we obviously have access, but those,
City camera?
it is a city camera, correct. This camera is actually a somewhat recent addition within the last couple of years. This camera has been put on the building just to add more video footage for better security. And you can see her out again now, walking.
Timestamps are 12 hours off. So Fire Mama, he answered your question. You can forget about synchronization. You can forget about the times stamps being synchronized with the events as they occurred. In real time.
Chief, is this camera fed anywhere? Does anybody have a monitor where they can look at this?
No, I don't believe we have any kind of, we have so many cameras that we monitor,
He doesn't
no one-
believe,
no
but you
one's
don't
sitting and
know
watching
that to
this
be
specific
true if it's the
camera that
city
I'm
camera.
aware of. No. These are
You
just
can't
so that
answer
if you
for
have
the
an
city.
event and you need to go back and look.
You can only
you have
answer for the
ability to
police
do that.
departments.
You can see she just leaned against the patrol car.
Mm. And this is just a reminder. We saw this video footage blown up 9
We will be providing you with a
minutes
copy
and
of
2
this.
seconds. What type of copy did he provide to the news stations? Was it a bit by bit copy coming from original hard drive?
As you can see there, how difficult she is to see at that point.
Was it an authenticated copy that verified that the data integrity was intact of what you presented to them? What type of copy? What kind of copy? We're talking about digital forensics.
Is this lot anything in particular? Is it designated in any particular way? Is it a public lot? Is this one your lot? What is this?
So this portion is not a public lot. This side is only HPD vehicles. There's actually a gate arm that you have to have a key card to enter this part of the parking lot. However, as you can see, you can walk into it.
Okay, in the video footage that I showed of the parking lot towards the beginning,
Here's where she
he's
goes
pointing that
along
way.
the side
I
of
didn't
the
see her
van.
walk in from that way.
You'll see
I
her
saw
go
her
to the rear
come
of the
from
van,
by a
and then she
tree.
doesn't reemerge.
Her or
and
a
that's where she
person.
enters the van.
I cannot confirm or deny whether that was her. A person comes from by some trees.
So from this point forward, there are numerous times throughout the next few days where you see movement inside the van. We actually see those windows. I'll point to the windows I'm going to refer to. Those windows actually
Them pop-out windows where you can
and open,
pop them out and reach
Then
your
they're
hand down and
closed.
open up a
and pop open
door
again.
from the outside.
So there were several times, primarily those windows opening, I believe were the 28th, when those windows opened that were very
So somebody
prominent.
gonna get up in there on the
and then they
25th and
stay
stay for
open.
3 days
They ended
hungry,
up open all the way until the time that
and
the
I
officer
without
found
going to the
them.
bathroom,
So,
a female, and be thirsty.
I think what really distresses us and pains us is that we know that there are, you guys will have some of this video, but cars go by, people walk nearby the van. We just wish that she would have hollered out to someone or something, because there were plenty of, unfortunately, there was what we see as potential opportunities for this to not be a
And let me
tragedy.
tell you
And,
this:
Unfortunately,
what I'm hearing
no one was able to
is
realize she was in that van.
tragic coming from his lips.
And that was the outcome. So, a couple of things I want to talk about now,
25th.
just sort of as a follow-up.
Then on the 28th, you
So,
see windows, you see
When
movement.
the officer found her, of course, we
Windows
worked this as
popping out?
any other crime scene, potential crime. The body was sent for a preliminary autopsy.
I'm not rocking with that
We were
autopsy
waiting for the
either.
full results, which would include the toxicology. But we did get, as you know, the preliminary, which showed obviously
No,
no
we
trauma
want the
to
type of
body,
autopsy
no
that
signs of any foul play.
Gabby Petito had.
And just something about the van, just so you know, the van was purchased in 1995.
We want
So
those
we've had
type
this
of
van for a long
autopsies.
time. When we originally
More
purchased this
than
van,
one.
it was when the city of Huntsville and the Huntsville Police Department maintained a jail. And so we used that van to transport prisoners or jail inmates. In the early 2000s, when we switched over and the Madison County Sheriff's Department took over the operations of the jail, that vehicle was repurposed. We didn't need it for that anymore. So we primarily used it for two different things. One was in the event that an arrestee out in the field couldn't get into a patrol car, whether it was, something
Enough.
to do
Okay,
with
I gotta stop.
their physical
Let me stop him.
attributes or whether it was
Let me stop him.
handicap.
We've heard this. Let me stop. Christina footage, digital forensics. Did the footage that the police chief showed tell a complete story or paint a complete picture as to what happened to her? A person walking around a lot, sitting on cars, a person, okay? And I'm stopping him again. Like I said, instantly when I heard timestamps, 12 hours off. Okay, well, timestamps and video footage usually have a tendency not to be accurate, okay? It can usually have a tendency not to be accurate. So let's get that out of the way. However, it was his responsibility to make sure everything was accurate and synchronized prior to presenting this to the public. Not only that, the more I listen to this police chief, the more this story just does not make any sense. It makes absolutely no sense. It's the more I listen, the more it sounds like nonsense and foolishness to my ears. So you mean to tell me, you say a person got into a van that we cannot see, get into a van. I don't see van doors swing open from the video footage. The video footage is not telling a complete story. Also, I don't know if video frames dropped from video footage that's being presented. Furthermore, I don't see a chain of custody for anything, and I can't verify that anything has been authenticated. But I say I go with the no side of authentication and data integrity because timestamps 12 hours off, no synchronization with the time and the events as they occurred in real time. I can't verify any of that based off what we're showing here. We're talking about digital forensics now. Now, that's just on the forensic side, but in just the good sense side, what people would deem as common sense side, it makes no sense. It makes no common sense for the police chief to come out here and say, she got into the van on the 25th. We see movement in the van on the 28th. So you mean to tell me that a person or Christina that they're alleged got into a van, a police van, to be specific and exact, on the 25th of September, and her sister said she last had contact with her sister on the 27th, that she got into this van. And so from the 25th to the 28th, you saw no movement according to the footage that you looked at or that was viewed in that van until 28th. You saw windows popping out, okay? Per your review of the footage. Per his words, not mine. So you mean to tell me, just going off common sense now, like I said, I done left the digital forensic facet alone for a hot minute, and I'm on forensic, I'm on just on good old common sense right now, that she didn't have enough good sense or common sense before then to reach her hand out of some pop-out windows and let herself out once she realized she could not get out from the inside. Because the van that she was in, those pop-out windows, a person, especially as petite as her frame looked, can reach their hand down and just open up and get out. The handle, pull the handle from the outside and get out. Or try all the handles. It was more than one handle outside. That's just on common sense right there. Good sense. Also, my good sense tells me that why would a person take their shoes off and just throw them by what window? What window were they found by? Back window, front window, side windows? Which windows were those shoes allegedly found by? Could you be more specific? My common sense tells me I'm not going to take my shoes and throw them out because I'm going to need my shoes for my feet in case I got to kick something out. Also, my common sense would tell me to get a tool and bust my way out. My common sense is not telling me a person was in a van for 3 days before they start making movement. That don't make no sense. None at all. And then when you allegedly see movement in the van 3 days later, you see the windows pop out. Did all of the windows pop out? Which windows popped out? So you mean to tell me this person was in that van for 3 days, didn't go to the bathroom? And so my common sense also would tell me, like I said, we're going to circle back around to forensics, digital forensics, because that's what's up. That's what we're talking about. But I'm just going to go off common sense right now. How much feces did you find in the van? And urine? Because the person had been in there, was there any urine or feces in the van? She was in there. I mean, was it in her clothes? What? Because a person is not going to be stuck up in no facility for 3 days, allegedly, and not use the bathroom somewhere, somehow, some type of way. So did any news anchor see all of this? Where is the evidence at? Where are the images that were taken or pictures that were taken of this van? And where's the forensic off of those shoes that you found? And where were they located at? How many windows were popped out? Which ones were popped out? Were they all popped out, or was it just ones from the back? Or was it just one, were all of the side windows? I mean, what is going on here? The more I listen to this, the less likely I am to believe anything they're coming out here saying. This don't make sense. Especially coming from a police department, from a person found inside a police van. This makes absolutely no sense. This is nonsense. And I will also state another reason why this is nonsense, because police officers are trained to pay attention to details. What the average person would overlook, police officers are trained to see those things on a daily basis. And so you mean to tell me that you all didn't notice anything until you had to, her family reported her missing October the 2nd, and then October the 7th, the police just happened to see some shoes by a window of a police van, and no other police officer saw those shoes before then. This don't make sense. The more I listen to this, the less sense it makes. Now, no phone, no cell phone. So person just, you saw, so she didn't wave in video footage. You didn't see a person waving their arms out the window. You just saw windows popping out. Nobody waving their arms like, hey, come get me. You saying she should have hollered out. You know, it's unfortunate. She could have hollered out, excuse me, it's unfortunate that you all would come out here and tell the story when all she had to do was reach her arms out the window and let her step out the van from different perspectives of the van. Front, side, left, back, anything except for far front. But even when it gets to the far front, I'm seeing a little area where one could utilize a purse strap if they had it, and lift up on the little thing in the side, or one could use a little, you know, some If it was some type of pole in the back of the van, hit that horn with a pole, with little holes in between there. I'm seeing too many ways to get out, ways of escape to get out this police van. That a person with good sense and common sense would definitely have utilized. I'm also hearing them trying to paint her out like she had some psychological issues or some issues, and even a person with psychological issues know how to escape from situations. So that don't make sense to me either. Sometimes people who have the psychological issues that they deem to be off can get out quicker than others. No, he does not, Fire Mama. That's why I said when it comes to digital forensics, we have to ask the question, is this stuff painting a complete story? Now, let's go back to the recap again. Remember, packets are transmitted across networks. So I got my little colored squares to represent the packets of data that are transmitted across the networks. Two, cameras represent nodes on networks. Every camera that the police chief talked about represents a node over a network or over networks. Peripheral devices represent nodes on a network. There's a header packet, body of the packets, and a footer packet, okay? Data is being transmitted across networks at all times. So when this data was being transmitted across the network, we know we have to deal with compression, decompression. Data gets compressed and then decompressed, right? We know we're dealing with that. So I asked the question, can you tell if frames were dropped from the video footage? How would we be able to tell that without the utilization of our digital forensic tools or our forensic tools? We need those, right? Which deal with authentication, right? Hardware and software tools. Hardware tools and software tools from our forensic toolkit, digital forensic toolkit. We would need software and hardware, right? They communicate with each other. Does the footage present the events as they occurred in real time? Yes or no? And I said no, no, and no. Does the footage tell a complete story? No. Can we stand by what the police officers are saying? What the police chief said about this video footage? No. We cannot stand by it. It does not present a complete story. We don't know if frames were dropped. We don't know what the integrity of the data is. We haven't yet to see a chain of custody. We don't know anything about data policies, how this data was backed up, maintained, stored. We can't speak to the integrity of the video footage that they came out and presented. When we look at the Derek Chauvin trial, one of my best moments for that trial was when they had forensics, somebody from the digital forensic field, come in and break down how the data was stored, maintained, collected, and spoke to the integrity of the data, the video footage that was being presented during the trial. And I said, yes, 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 and yes. There you go. Prove why this evidence, this electronically stored evidence, this video footage should be allowed in court. Prove it. That's right. Speak to the integrity of the data. Don't come out telling people anything and everything. And see, this is what trips people up every time. This will trip you up every time. This can sink you or cause you to float if you got to go to court. But circling back around to digital forensic, what that police say, he It made absolutely no sense. The more I listen to that, the less sense it makes. Now, the less sense it makes, the more I listen. So let me go here. Let's go to, because we're talking digital forensics, right? So we have to work in the law. We're not just talking without working in law and the rules of evidence. Section 902, Rule 902, 901, 902, 902 to 913. All right. The amendment. All right. Remember, the electronic rules of evidence had to be amended to include digital forensics, electronically stored information, right? Had to be updated, right? To include this type of evidence. Because years ago, you didn't have the live streaming, live data captures, and different things like that. Laws had to be updated. Rules had to be updated to include or amended to include new rules, right? Or to expound or expand what was already there. Right. So the amendment sets forth a procedure by which parties can authenticate certain electronic evidence other than through the testimony of a foundation witness. As with the provisions on business records and Rule 902, 11, and 12, the committee has found that the expense and inconvenience of producing a witness to authenticate an item of electronic evidence is often unnecessary. Remember, we're talking about self-authenticating evidence now, okay? But let's continue to listen. It is often the case that a party goes to the expense of producing an authentication witness, and then the adversary either stipulates authenticity before the witness is called or failed to challenge the authentication testimony once it is presented. The amendment provides a procedure under which the parties can determine in advance of trial whether a real challenge to authenticity will be made and can then plan accordingly. Nothing in the amendment is intended to limit a party from establishing authenticity of electronic evidence on any ground provided in these rules, including through judicial notice where appropriate. A proponent establishing authenticity under the rule must present a certification containing information that would be sufficient to establish authenticity where that information provided by a witness at trial. If the certification provides information that would not be sufficient to authenticate the record, if the certifying person testified, then authenticity is not established under this rule. The rule specifically allows the authenticity foundation that satisfies Rule 901B9 to be established by certification rather than testimony of live witnesses. But I want to say this as it pertains to this rule, because we're talking about self-authenticating documents, and a self-authenticating document can be a book, a news article, a publication, different publications, certain electronic devices like laptops, self-authenticating. So we're saying it's self-authenticating, right? But we still have to challenge the integrity of the data in these self-authenticating documents. or devices called computers, laptops, desktops, cell phones, because things can be tampered with, altered, modified, edited, deleted, all of that. Modified, you can delete. Alter, you can be by something that's too hot. Electronics don't need to be in a bunch of heat. That messes with your electronics. You can be by another item with a bunch of metal that can alter the data. That is very sensitive and fragile. Okay, nothing in the amendment is intended to limit. Okay, I already said that. That's just a restatement of the additional of the previous sentence. Now, let me start here at paragraph 2. A proponent establishing authenticity under the rule must present a certification containing information that would be sufficient to establish authenticity where the information provided by a witness at trial, read that too. If the certification provides the information that would be insufficient to authenticate the record, if the certifying person testified, then authenticity is not established under this rule. The rule specifically allows the authenticity foundation that satisfy rules 901B9 to be established by a certification rather than the testimony of a live witness. The reference to the certification requirements of Rule 902.11 or 12 is only to the procedural requirements for valid certification. There is no intent to require or permit a certification under this rule to provide the requirements of Rule 803.6, Rule 902.13 is solely limited to authentication, and any attempt to satisfy a hearsay exception must be made independently. Remember, it's a certain element of hearsay that's allowed or that's admissible in court. Certain types of hearsay. Not all hearsay, certain type. A certification under this rule can establish only that proliferate item has satisfied the admissibility requirements for authenticity. The opponent remains free to object to admissibility of the pre-offered item on other grounds, including, and this is the part I want to get to, it is your responsibility, if you know beyond a shadow of a doubt that they're presenting video evidence that's been tampered with, altered, modified, deleted, edited, or has not been authenticated, you can challenge that in court. The admissibility of such video footage or whatever electronic evidence is being admitted into court. It is your responsibility, your attorney's responsibility to challenge that, and you need to make sure your attorney because some attorneys overlook authentication when it comes to their clients. And let me finish reading this, and then I'll give an example of a real case. All right, so including hearsay. So let me start over at the second sentence in the last paragraph on this page. The opponent remains free to object to admissibility of the pro-offered item on other grounds, including hearsay, relevance, or in criminal cases, the right to confrontation. That means you have a right to confront a witness that's against you, or anybody that's coming up as a witness against you. You have a right to confront their testimony. That means their persons need to have their bodies in court. For example, assume that the plaintiff in a defamation case offers what purports to be a printout of a web page on which a defamatory statement was made. Plaintiff offers a certification under this rule in which a qualified person describes the process by which the page was retrieved. We're talking about right here, authenticating the authenticity of the evidence, of the digital evidence that's being submitted into court, right? Remember, all of this is germane to this Christina case. I said, are we going to take the police video footage as a complete picture? And are we just going to say, okay, everything, you know, no frames drop? We have no knowledge of where the frames drop. We have no knowledge of the integrity of the data that's being presented to us. We can say, I can clearly conclude it does not paint a complete picture of what happened to her. That video footage is not telling a complete story. And this is where you get real ticky when you go to court. A good attorney, as a good attorney would and should. Okay, so, all right. Defamatory statement was made. Plaintiff offers a certification under the rule in which a qualified person described the process by which the web page was retrieved. Even if that certification, and we're going to the next slide now, a challenge to authenticity of electronic evidence may require technical information about the system or process at issue. And this is where my field comes in at. All of this is where my field comes in at, including possibly retaining a forensic technical expert. Such factors will affect whether the opponent has a fair opportunity to challenge the evidence given the notice provided. So when it comes to electronically stored information and data that may be used as evidence in a court of law, it's a certain way you have to retrieve and extract the data. In order for it to be admissible in the court of law. Even though some of these devices are considered self-authenticating devices, right? They just self-authenticate, they prove, right? They have, like, let's say you send a text message from your phone and somebody texts you back. We consider that to be what? A form of things being self-authenticated within an electronic device. Email, somebody email you back. From laptop, desktop, whatever, iPad, tablet. Well, the document is there. It's not printed out, right? Within your self-authenticated electronic device. However, we need to make sure that what you have within, especially when it comes to electronic, has not been tampered with, altered, edited, modified, or deleted. We have to go back to the integrity of what? The data. We have to be able to speak to what? The systems that maintain and store the data, that captured the data. This police officer came out and police chief, I don't want to just condense him down to a police because he's a police chief, came out and said clearly, the surveillance cameras attached to the police building were not monitored, maintained, or updated, or anything by the police department. It belonged to the city. Therefore, the police chief cannot speak to the integrity of the data without what? Authenticating first and presenting a chain of custody first. Does that make sense? So let me go back to the previous page and reread just the bottom portion of that sentence, because right now we're talking about Federal Rule 902, self-authenticating rule. Now we're talking about federal rules, right? We're talking about the laws now as it pertains to self-authenticating evidence or devices or documents or books or things or items. Yeah? We're talking about authenticity. I said we was going to talk about digital forensics. All of this falls underneath the digital forensics category. Rule 901 and 902. So let me go back towards the end of this last paragraph and give an example. Okay, for example, assume that a plaintiff in a defamation case offers what purports to be a printout of a web page on which a defamatory statement was made. Plaintiffs offers a certification under the rule in which the qualified person describes the process by which the web page was retrieved. Even if that certification, going to the next slide, a challenge to the authenticity of electronic evidence may require technical information about the system. That's the system that it's backed up on, was retrieved, was backed up on, that did the data captures, network systems, database systems. Systems, different types of systems or process at issue, including possibly retaining a forensic technical expert. Such factors will affect whether the opponent has a fair opportunity to challenge the evidence given the notice provided. So when it comes to this Christina case, I'm going to challenge the police department and the police chief on the authenticity of the data that was presented. I really am. It's not painting a complete picture or telling a complete story of what happened to her. It's just simply not. Furthermore, I need these things to be authenticated. I need a bit by bit copy of all the drives that were involved. The police can't give that to me. If they haven't done it, the police chief can't get. Where's the chain of custody? We're talking about digital forensics here because frames could have dropped. Video footage could have been edited out intentionally. Or some person could have made a poor copy unintentionally. And if any of that happened, it's going to leave a digital fingerprint and we'll know it. Forensic technical experts. See, if I had to go to court for a case, somebody contracted me in on the side to come in and retrieve, collect, extract, store and maintain some ESI, electronically stored information on behalf of them. I'm going to have to talk about the process in which I went through. the systems. I'm going to have to understand the systems that's utilized, right? Okay. So me, if I'm going in, I'm going to want to take a look at the data policy. Talk to the person. Okay, how was the systems being stored? How the things being stored, maintained? You know, was it good? Was it any power outages? Da 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 da. Da. Me, I'm gonna come in and I'm gonna be super extra. Why? Because I want to cover my butt so this information can be presented in a court of law, be admissible in a court of law. Right? If I'm working on behalf of the person, receiving a fair trial, and all of the evidence being presented, having the opportunity to be presented in a fair manner, well, then I'm going to do what I need to do. Now, going back to this Christina case, what we saw, does it present a clear picture of what happened? No. Can we speak to the authenticity of what they presented? No. Just because it should be self-authenticating doesn't mean it don't get challenged. Did any frames drop from the video footage that the police came out and presented to the public? Can we tell that yes or no? Do we know if the police came out and presented the video footage sequentially as it happened, as it was captured on those various days from September to October? Can we say that timestamps were synchronized to reflect the events as they occurred? We can say no to that too, because he said timestamps was 12 hours off. And if they're going to present if they're going to use any of this in court as a rebuttal or to challenge the family, because the family is going to sue, those timestamps are going to have to be synchronized with the events as they occur. As the events happen in real time. We're talking digital forensics again. I threw my side stops and my side notes in here tonight. But getting back on topic, like we've been on, we're talking digital forensics, real digital forensics. This ain't the play stuff. We're getting down to the nitty gritty, right? Where was the chain of custody for the video footage, the ESI that the police presented? Did the police present this in the press conference? Yes or no? I didn't see the chain of custody come out and be presented. I didn't see any type of documentation for the chain of custody of what he was showing. Did you? I didn't. No, I didn't. Why? Because all electronics as well as networks leave digital fingerprints. So if anything was edited, altered, modified, deleted, I want to be able to say, here it is. This person did this on this day. This is the electronic device they were utilizing. This is the time that they did it. This is the day that they did it. This is what they were on. And this is who did it. And this is type of the electronic device they were using. Does it fall underneath the scope of what's allowed to be enhanced, or does it veer over into tampering with evidence? Also, was the data integrity left intact? He came out and said, here's the raw footage. talk about raw footage, you're talking about the pure data, the purest form of the data as possible. Its purest form that it can possibly be in. The original format in which it was captured in. That's its most purest form. That's the purest form of the data. How it was originally captured. The day it was captured, the days that the incident occurred. So you can't come out and say to me, raw, this is raw. Because I'm gonna have a million questions, figuratively speaking. I'm going to want to know about the bandwidth. I'm going to want to know why, because the bandwidth is going to matter. I'm going to want to know how many frames per second. Was it 30 frames per second, 60 frames per second, 120 frames per second? How many frames per second were being captured across the network from those surveillance cameras? Did any frames drop? I want to want the proof for that. We're talking about digital forensics as it pertains to Christina. Again, for all of the people who came out and said whatever they've been saying, and this one lady made a comment to me on a news channel that I don't know what she does for a living and I don't know what her profession is. And I said, lady, I don't care what your profession is. Right now, you're in this comment section saying some things that you cannot speak to definitively. You have no proof of what you're saying. I said, now, if you want to talk forensics, we can talk forensics. She made a statement and I had 50 million questions. She could not answer. She thought I was, are you coming for me? I don't have to come for you. I said, the facts gonna come for you. I don't have to come for you. I'm gonna let the facts in the record come for you. I asked some questions. The answer to the questions is either yes or no, true or false. You get people out here speaking on things like they know what they're talking about without the proof to substantiate their claims and back up what they're saying. This is digital forensics as it pertains to the footage that was shown by the police department pertaining to Christina. Just because you show me some footage don't mean that what you're showing me paints a complete picture and the data integrity is intact. That doesn't mean you're showing me anything sequentially as the events occur. That don't mean nothing. Where's the proof behind what you're showing? Science is provable. This digital forensic field is a science that's backed by math, which is solvable. It's both science and math. We need to prove the integrity of the data is intact. We need to prove that the video footage is authenticity. And I said days ago, what is I challenging that the police brought out there? The authenticity of what they were presenting. Oh, good night, Fire Mama. Hey, Boss Blake, how you doing? So let me pull it back again. Oh, my device is moving. Let me pull it back again. See, this is information we need to know. Let me go back again. We just went over section, well, paragraph 13, Federal Rules 2902 as it pertains to self-authenticating devices or self-authenticating evidence or self-authenticating things, items. Okay, when it comes to this right here, it's going to be Federal Rules 109, 901 and 902, right? Federal Rules of Procedure as it pertains to electronics. What we're looking for, the laws. Then you got Rule 16, you got Rule 24, you got Rule 26, you got Rule 17, you got Rule 37, you got rules in their 40s. So let's recap. So let's go. Remember, we showed this. This was shown a few days ago over here. This is the 26 minutes for the police chief talking, where he comes out and he says, timestamps are 12 hours off. I say, pause for a minute. Why is he even showing me this? I'm gonna hit you on authentication now. You didn't authenticate anything. Timestamps don't even match the events that you're out here talking about. I'm gonna talk to you about the integrity of the data now. I'm gonna talk to you about data integrity, real digital forensics. Yeah. Okay. The other video is not in here. So remember, let me go here. Say retry. This is the website, Huntsville government website. Okay. Huntsville Police Department provides update on Christina Nass's case. And so that was one of the videos that they have up here that we saw within the presentation. We also saw this days ago. And then the one underneath here, we could hit retry, was the video footage that's 9 minutes and 2 seconds that shows the parking lot. So go back up here. Go back here. So what I said was, because we're talking digital forensics, like I said, I don't care about people getting a hold of video footage and doing all those animations in 3Ds, and none of that's admissible in the court of law. I care about, because this is my field, what can be admitted in the court of law. And when I come out here, I'm not standing behind what I did not collect, retrieve, store, maintain myself, unless somebody from the field has done it, or unless somebody can prove to me via chain of custody that it's kosher. Right? Unless I'm watching it happen in real time. First person. So remember, what's being sent across the network, packets of data are transmitted at all times. So what are we talking about here? Electronically stored information / data. When it pertains to this footage involving Christina, what do cameras represent on networks? Cameras represent nodes on the network. So when a node on the network goes down, you'll know it because it's connected to a network. It represents a node on a network, right? Sitting down, you're doing the configurations for the networks, and you're doing your node on your networks, and you're naming each node over the network. The cameras on each network, when you name them, remember they represent a node over the network. All right. So can you tell, and I asked the question, can you tell if frames were dropped from the video footage? And I said, well, in that video footage that was 9 minutes and 2 seconds, it looked like to me some frames were dropped, but I have to be able to prove that. With my naked eye, it looked like I could see some frames possibly dropped off. But I have to be able to prove this is digital forensics. I can say it, but I have to be able to prove it. Science is solvable. Can be proven, just like math. Be able to solve and prove and solve. Does the footage represent the events as they occurred in real time? Yes or no? Can we speak to the integrity of the data or the video footage that was presented? No, we can't. Does the footage tell a complete story? No, it doesn't. And if I were an attorney, and I had to defend the police department, I definitely wouldn't defend them based off what they came out and showed. No, I wouldn't. We're gonna have to make sure our electronically stored information / evidence has been authenticated in a manner in which it can be admissible in the court of law. That means we're going to have to get bit by bit copies with hash values that match from all of the electronic devices. That would solidify the data integrity is intact. The integrity of the data is intact. You know, making sure there's no worms, no viruses or anything like that to throw us off. Again, we're talking digital forensics. So for everyone saying, I saw Christina in that footage, can you really say you saw Christina in the footage, or did you see a person in the footage? Did you see the face? Did you see her face? Do you know if any video frames were dropped? Do you know the video is in order sequentially? Do you know if it's been altered width? Do you know if anything has been altered, modified, or deleted? Then the police chief said it pixelated. Oh, it's over pixelated. So as you zoom in, it's more pixelated and you can't really see the person. Visual. Well, excuse me, simple solution. Go get a digital forensic team that's the cream de la creme. So when you zoom, so when they zoom in on it, you can see the person's face. We're talking about digital forensics here in authentication. All of this is important. We went over this, many of us, when we went through Kanika Jenkins files. But again, I would say the difference with Kendra Johnson and Kanika Jenkins, and this is Kendra Johnson, CNN, acquired the original, acquired a copy of a hard drive, took it to the one of the number one in the United States of America when it comes to video forensics, to verify that that was not an authentic copy of the original hard drive. And some video footage was missing from that copy. And he was the one that went in and said, oh yeah, the timestamps are here. When he went through it, okay, they're in this file folder. Here they are, here. So that was Kendra Johnson, okay? Kanika, we know, Rosemont, the Village of Rosemont Public Safety Department, put files on the website for people to download and view. So many of us downloaded them and start running. Well, me, I wanted to do metadata extractions. I wanted to extract the data, look at it from a hex view, look at it from the metadata view, look at it, see what was going on with it, certain video footage frames, certain images that they had up there, did extraction on those to look to see what type of device was used, the day it was used, what the lighting specs were from the cameras that were used on the pictures that were taken of Kenneka Jenkins, all of that. So remember, in Kenneka Jenkins' case, the one video I did the metadata extractions on, or the extractions on, we were able to see Julie Carnet's digital fingerprints show up on video footage. Right? I showed that Julie Carnez, she showed up. Then Julie Carnez was also in the police report. She worked at that time for Target Forensics, where her digital fingerprint showed up when I did the metadata extractions, down to the day that she went in and modified, did her enhancements, down to the electronic device she was on. Digital fingerprints get left. This case, we've had nothing like that. We just had the police come out. I want files. I want copies of original hard drives. So I can look at that data and conduct my own analysis accordingly. So I'll say we're talking about digital forensics. I'm not standing behind anything that the police department presented. Especially when they said she got into the van. I didn't see a van door swing out open. Can I get a 360 or a panoramic view? The video footage does not tell a complete story, or they didn't present all of the video footage as they should have presented it. Let us see all of it. Don't come out and chop up sections and show it to me. That's insufficient for me. That don't work for me. Can work for other people, but that don't work for me. Not on a case like this that's extremely suspicious. Not on a case like this that's extremely suspicious. Digital forensics. Does the footage that we've seen from the police department tell a complete story? Can you tell me if frames were dropped from the video footage? Does the video footage present the events as they occurred in real time, as they happened in real time? Is the video footage, was it presented sequentially in the order of which the events actually occurred? Timestamps were 12 hours off, not synchronized with the events as they happen. Authenticity, data integrity. Authenticity and data integrity. Let me say it again. Authenticity and data integrity. Now, having said that, what time did it come on here? Okay, I came on at 2:16 tonight. It's 12:37. I'm 2 hours. Okay, I'm almost 2.5+ hours in. So that is what I wanted us to, when I say we're taking a real digital forensic look at, that's what we're doing. It's going to be predicated upon what the science community says relating to this field, because it is a science, what the engineering community says pertaining to this field. That's a science. It's going to be contingent upon best practices in this field of digital forensics. Not any animated video footage in 3D that can't be admitted in a court of law. Looks cute, but it's not admissible in a court of law. I want to know what the metadata says. I want to know about the integrity of the data. And like I said in that video footage earlier, to my human eyes, or the naked eye, for me, it looked like some frames dropped. In that video on Alabama's government website, the footage that's 9 minutes and 2 seconds, I said, oh, it looked like some frames dropped right here. I have to be able to prove that though. But to my human eye, it looked like some frames dropped. I said, about right here looks like some frames are dropping. Right here look like some frames dropped. Some frames could have dropped, or could have just been a poor copy of what they're presenting. But he said it was raw data, so interesting. However, I didn't see a chain of custody, no documentation to verify what he was saying was factual. So that's a whatever for me. You know, I'm like, no, yes, I need all of this. Yeah, it's the reason this field exists. Yeah, I can't stand behind that. I didn't do the data collection, retrieval, extractions, storing, or maintaining of any of that was presented. So it's an incomplete picture or story being told. Some video footage we can look at, the little Ruru shoot little whoever, and you see the person get shot in a video. We could say, well, little Ruru had the gun, and we saw little Ruru shoot the gun, the person got shot, and we saw him die. Now, did that tell a complete story? No, but we saw little Ruru shoot the person in the video footage. Okay, we could say, yeah, we saw him shoot, but in this video footage, I didn't see her step into a van. I didn't even see the van door swing out open. And, you know, when they did show the video footage, it looked at this, she just appeared from behind some trees and started walking in the parking lot. And I said, well, And then when you get down towards the end, it looked like, We're talking about digital forensics, authentication and data integrity, authentication and data integrity. And so before I get off, and as I conclude, this is what I want to talk about. When I said I'll refer to a case and give you an example. Now, if you can remember, during the Kanika Jenkins case, I gave an example of a case that was litigated in court, okay? And so what happened was, it was a gentleman who had, who was accused of stealing, okay, from a store, and they had surveillance footage as well. Well, when he took it to court, what he said was, went to the lower courts, and didn't turn out in his favor. Went to the courts of appeals, and they had more favorable opinion of that appeal. However, They said, you should have brought this up in lower courts. So they said, you're going to have to do some time. But it pertained to the video footage. And when he took it to the court, the appellate court, and what he said was, they presented footage that had not been authenticated. And the appellate court agreed. The video footage had not been authenticated, and it should not have been admitted into the court of law. It was unadmissible. They agree with that 100%. Says you're absolutely right. According to the rules, federal rules of procedure, rules of electronic evidence, no, should not have been admitted. However, because you did not bring it up in the lower courts, where it should have been brought up in, your attorney should have brought this up in the lower courts. This is the part that works as a con against you. That's why when I said it is your attorney's responsibility when it comes to self-authenticating documents or items or electronics or whatever, that you make sure that they bring these things up should you have to go to court. Because oftentimes attorneys don't, especially when it comes to footage. And it seems like it should be a common thing that every attorney should do, but every attorney don't, and every attorney won't, but every attorney should when it comes to ESI. So again, digital forensics, authentication, data integrity, authentication, data integrity, authentication, data integrity. It's a way we get there in this field. Software, hardware, chain of custody, documentation, interpretation, extractions, retrieval, collection, storing, and maintaining data in a manner that's admissible in a court of law. Has to be thoroughly documented. Going back to this Christina video footage, I can't stand by what the police chief came out and showed. I didn't collect, store, retrieve, maintain. I can't speak to the systems. I can't speak to the database system. I can't speak to the network systems. I can't speak to any system. Alabama, the city of Alabama would have to speak to the systems. They're responsible for maintenance in those cameras. Those are their cameras. Those are owned by the city, not the police department. He said that clearly. It's not responsible for maintaining. They have access to video footage, but they're not responsible for that data being backed up, stored, and maintained. But he came out and said he was showing you raw data. Okay. And I challenged that. No chain of custody. And I challenged that. No authenticity, no records of anything being authentic in the chain of custody. And I challenged that. Timestamps were 12 hours off. It didn't match the video footage. Now, having said that, let's go out on a little bit of music. We have to keep it 100. We have to keep it 100. And we have to cover our own backsides. Oh, okay. Wait a minute. Before I go there, let's go here again. Let's go out here again. All right, let's go here. All right, I'm gonna do the share on this. Let's go out this way, and then we'll get to the music. And I'll wrap this up. Let's go this way. All right. So let's do this again, right? This is my forensic tool of choice tonight. I started off with this tool early towards the beginning of the live. You will see this. How about I just do this like this and make it easy for myself? How about I just copy that? Control V, paste that, and hit enter. How about I do that? Nope, that's double. That's double it. No, it's not gonna let me. That's double one. Okay. I don't know why in my copy and paste it doubled that. So I got to type it in manually. Let me put my command prompt in manually. All right. So I'm putting my command prompt in manually. Like I said, my command in manually. I'm using my command prompt window. This is my forensic tool of choice for educational purposes only. For educational purposes, we're seeing if the Huntsville Gov website will communicate, if their networks will communicate with us. We want to see how many packets get sent, how many packets are received, and if there's any packets lost along the way. Because remember, what I said was vital, was being transmitted across the network at all time, data. What was being captured across the network within those nodes on the networks. Remember, cameras, nodes on the network, data, packets of data. So like I said, when we said were any frames dropped, was anything lost, we had no knowledge of that, right? We're talking about digital forensics. Let me hit enter. Here we go. Let's work. Okay, so let me highlight it. Here we go again. And like I said, I'm just on the stacks for the ping. My highlighted section. Let me wait till it catches up with everybody. Make sure you all can see this. Let me refresh my other electronic device that I'm going from. All right. Packets sent, 4 packets. Packets received, 4. Loss equals 0. 4 packets of data in this particular were sent, 4 packets were received, 0 packets was lost. The network communicated with us, so we know it's responded to us, that host responded to us. We sent the request and it responded, right? So it communicated. We communicated with the network, this website, and the network from the website communicated back with us. Okay, communicated with each other. 4 packets was sent, 4 packets was received, 0 packets was lost. We just did this in real time. We can't speak to if any packets of data or frames were lost, slash data slash frames were lost, because frames and data, same thing. Data is still considered data. We can't say what was going on with that video footage that the police presented. So that's why I wanted to use this as an example tonight, right? To show us a real-time example across the network, over a network, right? All right. For educational purposes only, right? And I said, let's go to work tonight. So that's what we did. Now, having said that, let me bring us back in on some music. We're gonna get out of here. Black Violin. That was Black Violin. On the other live, when I came on live yesterday, it was Damien Escobar. All these guys are super fantastic to see in person and live, but just get ready. Like they were saying in it, get ready, get ready, get ready when it comes to Christina and us looking at a digital forensics perspective on what was presented by the police department. Just get ready. Just get ready, but we need more information. However, I'm gonna work with what I got and work with what they said, but get ready. This is an extremely suspicious case, so just get ready. Just get ready to keep working. All right, with that being said, thank you all so much for streaming. Remember to stay vigilant. Remember this, you can look up, you can get up, you can go up. It is our responsibility to police the United States government and to police the police. And we have to do our jobs. If we can sit by idly and say nothing, or we can stand up and seek some form of justice. All right, everybody. Thanks so much for streaming. Have a pleasant night.